the founding Chancellor, Sri Naveen Jindal, his beautiful family, his mother, mother-in-law, his spouse, who I'm sure continues to inspire him every day, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. C. Rajkumar, Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, esteemed guests, distinguished members of the faculty, graduating students and their families. Well, I begin my presentation this evening on the musical notes of Hum Honge Kamyab, which is really a benediction to all of you. My mother was the disciple of a very famous musician, a classical musician, Gana Saraswati Kishori Amonkar. And as a young child, she gave me an autograph which I carry to this day, and which says, music musically leads to silence. So we invoke the silence within each one of us to transform the lives of each of us as we transform the lives of others around us. I express my gratitude for this great honor which you have bestowed upon me to be the guest of honor and address the 11th convocation of the O.P. Jindal Global University. In a short span of time, the university has emerged as a preeminent private university, delivering quality education to a wide spectrum of students from across India and globally. The faculty and students of the university, with their dedication and hard work, have excelled in academic research and extracurricular pursuits. These collective efforts of the students, the faculty, and the administration have been internationally recognized by the prestigious QS World University Rankings. Even domestically, the O.P. Jindal Global University has been conferred with the status of an institution of eminence by the Ministry of Education of the Government of India. I congratulate the students, teachers, and the administration of the university for their contribution in attaining the high standards of academic and institutional excellence. On a more personal note, I always ask your very distinguished Vice Chancellor, what is the secret to cloning more of Professor C. Rajkumar's? We have to still ask this Faculty of Science to develop some secret on that regard. A convocation is a milestone in the academic life of a student. A convocation ceremony is a tribute to a bygone past with all its joys and failures. It is also an ode to a foreboding future, the commencement of fresh beginnings. During this graduation, you leave behind the physical association with the institution and its constituents, especially the teachers. But you take with you shared experiences and the learnings of your academic life. Your disengagement from a physical sharing of space is a beginning of a lifelong association as an alumni. That assumes the character of something which is both emotional and, in today's age, the virtual as well. The highlight of this convocation ceremony are the graduating students. You're graduating today from different faculties ranging from law, humanities, economics, journalism, finance, architecture, and the behavioral sciences. Many of you have already embarked upon or on the cusp of embarking upon a career path with hope and ambition. I offer my congratulations to you, but above all, I extend my congratulations to your parents, who I'm sure will remember this ceremony with more fondness than even their children. As I reach out to the parents across the stadium, I reach out to my own parents. You're fortunate to have your parents in this stadium. My parents are way above the twinkling stars. But I am today where I am, and I exist today because of the unstinted dedication, the care, the love, the compassion which my mother showed to me as a sickly young child who was given a wrong antibiotic in the 1960s. And I survived to see the day thanks to just the love and the affection which my parents gave me. So through you, I reach out to my own. At the outset, I would also like to acknowledge your resilience in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has transformed our lives. These unprecedented times have also made us aware of our innate ability to adapt and to be empathetic to others. We count on the blessing of life itself. Countless others across the world have not been as fortunate. In a few days, India celebrates her 75th Independence Day, a momentous occasion for all of us. In these 75 years, India has taken strides in all spheres towards achieving our constitutional ideals and values. Yet, Independence Day should not become another ritualistic celebration of our freedom struggle. Rather, it should become a site for critical introspection of our progress in fulfilling the values of our Constitution, which our Constitution makers, both women and men, aspired to achieve. I could not have a more suitable audience before whom I say this. I have before me several thousand students, all with the potential to make a positive difference to the world. You have the ability to transform the privilege of education into making your neighborhood and world a better place each day of your lives. After being afflicted with COVID twice over in 1 year, I always ask myself one question every night before I end my day. And that question is, if this indeed were to be the last day of my life, have I done something little today to transform not just my loved ones, but those around me whom I've possibly never even met? Even 75 years after independence, many individuals and communities in India are yet to effectively taste the fruits of democracy which was inherited by us. Because of our hierarchical social and economic structures, many of our citizens are still deprived of equality in social and economic spheres. Dr. Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar warned us that our structures of political democracy are precarious until they are not supported by social democracy. Dr. Ambedkar defined social democracy as a way of life which recognizes liberty, equality, and fraternity as the principles of life. But it is not just the responsibility of government or of the judiciary to promote social democracy and social justice. The branch of the state to which I belong, the judiciary, has a vital role to play in fostering social democratic values. However, the quest for a constitutional culture is not limited to courtrooms or the black letter of the law. It inheres in all of us. When Benjamin Franklin was leaving the Constitutional Convention in 1787, a woman accosted him and asked him about the type of government the Constitutional Convention had deliberated upon. He replied, a republic if you can keep it. His reply is prescient for all of us in India today. Our constitutional culture does not maintain itself. It is for each one of us as citizens to participate in the slow but vital task every day of transforming our constitution from a charter of ideals to a reflection of reality. The realization of those values begins at home in the lives of each one of you. As citizens, we hold the responsibility and the duty which accompanies it as inheritors and guardians of our Constitution to imbibe and inculcate constitutional ideals into our daily lives to promote social harmony, inclusion, and plurality. It ought to be regarded as a constitutional duty. It is even a moral obligation. As all of you who are in true essence the representatives of a new India exit the hallowed halls of your university, you should introspect how your actions could contribute to strengthening the constitutional ethos of social democracy in India. Social democracy is not a form of government, but a medium to secure social justice. Social justice, in turn, ensures that equal social and economic opportunities are available to all the people in our society, regardless of religion, race, caste, sex, gender, place of birth, or sexual orientation. Our laws provide for formal equality of opportunity. However, in reality, we live in an asymmetrical world where opportunities are unequally distributed. Such opportunities open many doors for the haves, those who have, but shut the door for those who have not. In our quest for social justice, we must strive to provide equal opportunities to persons, especially from marginalized backgrounds, to empower them to effectively enjoy their own sense of liberty. As you enter into the next stage of your life, where many of you will undertake different professional responsibilities as lawyers, journalists, policymakers, economists, academicians, entrepreneurs, and business managers, I exhort you to contribute towards strengthening democratic structures in India and across the globe in your own meaningful way. I understand that all of you have evolved from different circumstances. You have your dreams to realize and responsibilities to discharge. A small contribution on your part will create a big difference in someone else's life. In doing so, you elevate your own sense of being. If you are a practicing lawyer, you can aim to devote your life for the protection of the defenseless by providing legal aid. If you work in a corporate law firm, you can strive to make your workspaces equitable and accessible. Many lawyers and legal academicians are taking active steps to bridge the issues of underrepresentation of marginalized communities in the legal profession in India. I would particularly like to mention SEED, which is an acronym for CEDE, an initiative started by Anurag Bhaskar, my former judicial clerk and presently an assistant professor at Jindal Global Law School. The SEED initiative attempts to set up a network of lawyers and law firms who are willing to provide internship opportunities to students from marginalized communities. Anurag has transformed his Dalit status to transform Indian society. Professor Shamnath Bashir understood the structural obstacles to entry into premier law schools in India, which disadvantages students from underprivileged backgrounds. This inspired Professor Bashir to set up the increasing diversity by increasing access, the IDEA network, which provides coaching assistance to underprivileged students and continuing support after their entry into law schools. At the university, efforts must be made in terms of affirmative action and financial assistance to provide greater impetus to participation of underprivileged students in premier academic institutions. The privilege of higher education must liberate and not reinforce unequal social structures in India. Those entering the profession of journalism can empower students and people by becoming their voice. The true purpose of journalism is to purvey information, opinions, and ideas so that people can make informed choices and exercise their liberties. The Supreme Court, in its judgment in Arnab Ranjan Goswami versus Union of India, observed that India's freedom will rest safe as long as journalists can speak truth to power without being chilled by the threat of reprisal. In an age of fake news and disinformation, we need journalists more than ever to document the unseen and expose the fault lines in our society. Policymakers and economists amongst you can devise policies with empathy towards the marginalized and the underrepresented. Welfare and inclusion must not become forgotten ideals of the past. Policymakers can formulate policies to politically and socially empower the disenfranchised. Economic theories must strive to increase access to economic resources and opportunities for women and the underprivileged. Architects can ensure that they construct green buildings with the purpose of creating a positive impact on the climate and the natural environment. You can also ensure that the buildings which you design are accessible to persons with disabilities. The ideals of social justice require all of us to contemplate the obstacles there are to full and effective empowerment of all our citizens and to take effective steps to address these obstacles. By doing so, we are treating each person as an end in itself rather than as a means to the ends of others and our own. Business managers and entrepreneurs can ensure that they provide more employment opportunities to women and people from marginalized backgrounds, especially in key managerial positions. Although the free market economy has increased opportunities for everyone, it has also created a myth of merit which disadvantages the underprivileged for participating in the core domains of life, such as education and employment. All of us have to realize that some freedoms limit the freedoms of others. The freedom to hire people from elite socioeconomic backgrounds limits the opportunities of others to similar employment opportunities. Teachers and educators are the guiding force for students. Good education plays a vital role in the expansion of capabilities and expands the freedom the student will have in the future. Through education, teachers and educators must strive to develop the judgment of students, to value the appropriate use of their capabilities, and to foster their vision for a more just, liberal society, with the sole intent that they may not abuse their freedoms. Irrespective of our academic or professional backgrounds, all of us are capable of following constitutional ideals in our own meaningful way. In the 75th year of independence, we must also introspect. If women are provided adequate opportunities to effectively exercise their freedoms and participate in the public life of the nation. In the field of law, women are grossly underrepresented. A recent statistics of the Government of India shows that women lawyers constitute 15% of all lawyers in India. Even the laws which have been enacted to enhance the capabilities and freedoms of women are inadequate and limiting. To give you just one example, last month a case came before my court where an unmarried 24-month pregnant woman was denied the right to terminate her pregnancy under the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act of 1971. We considered in our interim order the legislative intent of Parliament and purposefully interpreted the provisions of the Act to uphold the right of unmarried women to seek a safe termination of pregnancy. But what really bothers me is this. In this case, the petitioner had access to effective legal representation to scale the legal and social barriers. But think about many such women across India who find themselves in similar situations without access to aid, social or legal. This highlights that although women may have access to material choices, the exercise of such choices is dependent upon material preconditions. It is our moral and constitutional responsibility to understand these obstacles and address them to effectively empower women to enjoy their freedoms and participate in public life. In addition to our professional lives, we must also strive to inculcate the ideals of Constitution in our personal lives. We must respect every person for their equal worth, regardless of their religion, race, caste, sex, or gender. We should exercise our liberty to speak against casteism, patriarchy, homophobia, and such other harmful attitudes against the marginalized. And most importantly, we must, fellow citizens, treat our own people as our own and to respond to their sorrow and sufferings with a fraternal sense of obligation. In today's age of social media, we are trapped in information bubbles, which leads to intellectual isolation. I exhort you to break free from the shackles of algorithms and reach out to those on the other side of the spectrum and understand their perspectives. If we can follow these ideals, our dreams of achieving a social democracy can become true work in progress. India needs the services of well-trained and well-equipped personnel such as you for attaining its economic and social transformation. Independence did not just mark a freedom from colonial rule. Independence was a watershed in a social transformation which our society intended to achieve. And I am sure that all of you will heed the call. The future beckons and good things are in store for all of you. To borrow the words of Gustave Flaubert, you are the navigators who will discover new worlds. You will add continents to your world and stars to your heaven. Through my interactions with students from this university, in different capacities as interns and law clerks in my own chamber, I have realized that students of your university have the ability to make a positive contribution to our society. I urge you to never neglect your passions. It may be reading, or painting, or sport, travel, or, as in my frayed shoulders, yoga and nutrition. Pursuing passions is a path to happiness. While some have the privilege of making passions their profession, those who don't must at least try to keep them alive. I'm sure that you have good friends at the university. Memories of your university days spent with friends will remain with you. Keep these bonds of friendship alive by staying in touch with your friends. Because as James Joyce said in his novel, The Dubliners, there's no friends like old friends. Prioritize your health and stay true to the popular phrase, "Jaan hai to jahan hai." I'm afraid that this convocation address has come off as a pedantic sermon. At least my feminist wife would tell me that. My purpose today was only to rekindle the fire in your hearts, which in future will scorch and blaze to illuminate this world with a light of cheerfulness and compassion. It is my sincere hope and belief that you all will design your own ways to inculcate within your lives the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity in your lives to realize the goal of true democracy for our great nation. As I take your leave, let me take you through the words of the great American poet Walt Whitman, who asked the question, "Oh me, so sad, recurring, what good amid these, oh me, oh life?" Answer, that you are here, that life exists, and identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. So may I end my presentation this evening with a prayer, with a thought, with a benediction, that as the life, as the powerful play goes around you, as you are in pilgrims in this path of progress, may your verse contribute to the betterment, to the lives of all around you. I would once again like to thank the Vice Chancellor for inviting me to speak on this momentous occasion. I wish all the graduating students the best of luck for their future endeavors. And left to me, I shall now enjoy this glass of water which Professor Rajkumar gave me so thoughtfully during the beginning of my address. Thank you very much.